Well, welcome to 180 U-Turn, the talk show that features some of the greatest conversion stories of our time. Stories of men and women who are on the highway to hell when they encountered a Damascus Road experience that completely turned their lives around. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savan, and today I'm broadcasting live from the Teen Challenge Christian Life Ranch in New River, Arizona, one of the premier detox and rehab facilities for drug and alcohol abuse. For more information on their rehab services, weekly meetings, and special events, just hop out to their website at tcaz.org. That's tcaz.org. And if you want to write me at the show, I love it all the time, especially some of you guys give me your little, verses for the day. I love them. Keep them coming. Just write me at steve@180uturn.com. That's steve@180youturn.com. And I'll do my best to reply and say thank you. Oh, keep those theological questions away. I don't want to answer that. Today on 180, we're continuing our story with Elijah Coburn. Day 2. Elijah, we were talking about this, and if you missed our show Monday, you need to go back out to YouTube and catch it and get it in chronology so you can understand. By the time you get to Thursday, you go, what happened to this guy? So every day I'm always amazed at everybody's path. There's only one God, there's only one way to heaven, but everybody has different ways of getting there. I mean, their path to finally have their confrontation with the Lord, generally confrontation, right? Mm-hmm. It's, to me, is one of the most amazing things about the diversity in people getting converted to the Lord, truly converted. Now, when we were talking about, you come out of military, was it a letdown? You moved back at home with your mom, right?
Yeah.
And you were 19, and after being on your own a little bit, it'd be a hard stretch to go back home.
Yeah, for sure. It was hard. We bumped heads a lot. Had different views on lots of different things, and I didn't really want to submit to their authority, even though it was their house at the time. So. Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'd be going back for the simple fact of probably getting 3 square meals a day.
That's always good too. My mom always says it feeds me good. So.
Well, when I'm thinking about you, whatever jobs you had, you have a mind and an academic prowess, and yet you're in low-paying jobs. And you're taking whatever money you get from that, which is not a lot, mm-hmm. and you're blowing it all on fun.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm always caught by this, Elijah. You're a smart guy. Mm-hmm. I can't believe you couldn't figure out, something to pay $15-20 an hour instead of minimum wage at $6 or $7.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
I don't know. I just drugs were an escape from reality. It's a way to always seek instant gratification, to always feel good, and partying just always. I would have spent all the money I could at the time to always stay in that type of mindset. Now, when you say this, you're having fun, you found a way to justify it because you felt you were victimized by your childhood.
Or no?
No, I don't really think I was victimized by my childhood, really.
Well, you never got to live your childhood.
Sure, yeah, I definitely, I feel like I kind of grew up too fast, and I didn't really get the opportunity to have fun and make mistakes and break rules, right. and party and do all that. So that was kind of my opportunity to do that.
Yeah, when I think of it, and back in my day, we actually had a youth. We had fun. It was great. Nobody told us to grow up, but we're still working, still trying to get the things we want to get. I want to get a transistor radio. I want to get albums. We're collecting music. Right. I still have all the same things people wanted, but I had a job, and I spent down money. I worked hard,
Definitely.
And there was work ethic issues attached to all that. And I have to say, the change today is, if you're happy. And this is why people, when they watch your show, they go, geez, Elijah, you're a smart kid. You graduated 2 years before. You're 15 when you went in your senior year. You went to master's school for theology. I mean, come on. You're bright. Why wouldn't you just get a great job and probably you could still have fun and enjoy your whatever nefarious pharmaceuticals you were taking at the time. Mm. So, but eventually your faith got tested. What lack or thereof you had.
Yes, sir.
Talk about it.
I got to a point where I had a really close friend of mine, someone I spent every day with. Took him around everywhere I went. He was a little younger than me. He was actually one of my best friend's little brothers, and he ended up taking his life.
Did you ever find out why?
He'd struggle with depression. He would talk about wanting to die a lot. He'd tell his parents and stuff. I was always there trying to encourage him and stuff through it. I don't know if there's necessarily if there's ever a good reason for doing something like that.
It's never a good reason, but I'm wondering, was this kid into dope on any level?
No, wasn't into drugs or anything like that. Yeah.
He's not taking, my first punting position was kids like that generally are looking at Valium and other things because it's it kind of brings them down. They don't,
Right.
not that they need to be brought down any lower, but maybe that's it. I'm not a prescriber. So when you thought about this for the first time, about, he died.
Yeah.
Did he go to heaven? Did he
Or
go to
hell,
hell?
right.
I mean, this is rolling around your head.
Yeah, for the first time in my life, I was confronted with the idea that if hell is real and then people really go there. Not saying this, this kid did or didn't, but growing up my whole life, I always was told, God is good, God is loving, God is gracious, God is forgiving, He's all these things. And in my head, someone that is only good and only gracious and only forgiving and only loving could make someone that they're going to send to hell for eternity to suffer forever. It didn't compute in my head. Mm-hmm. And whoever that being was, this thing that I couldn't understand, I wanted nothing to do with.
This is the poor caricature of God on display here, by the way.
Yes, sir.
You have a whole half balance of maternal aspects of God and nothing of the paternal aspects and the kind of fear of the Lord that's the beginning of wisdom.
Yes, sir.
None of this,
None of
right?
it.
And then, by the way, that's not any different in his childhood. Hey, that's our problem today. The promiscuous events that happen in the church and much of the lascivious acts that are happening are all based and premised on no fear of God. None. So when you think about I don't want to get into preaching here, but yes, later on tonight. Okay. And so at this point, this does not compute. Not only does it not compute, now you're like, hey, God, I'm kind of maybe dropping you, right? I mean, This is where this is where I'm going to kind of walk away. I'm not really happy with you. And this unhappiness is going to turn into, which is hard for me to bring this up, but it's going to turn into hatred for God.
100%.
Yeah. And it's not about you, it's about somebody else that was treated in your mind wrongly somehow. Right. And you adopted that position and you went from unhappiness because of his suicide to, I hate God.
100%, that's what happened.
Yeah, it's hard for me, and I'm sure our audience, to understand that, because you're making a leap here. You're making a major leap in logic, right? Which is it stretches my elasticity to think about this, right? So it's hurtful and dark, and I can totally see why you went down the dope side of this issue.
Well, I think a lot of the times too, people have this idea of God, this God that they create in their head that's different than the God of the Bible, and so the God that they think that they love and that they follow isn't the God of the universe. It's the God of their own creation. It's an idol. And I think for the first time in my life, I was confronted with the true living God. And, as it says in Romans, I mean, people that aren't saved, people that are outside of that, they hate God. They hate God because he's good.
I love sometimes, when I read your story, you actually use terms of old school terms, like you were not born again and you were not regenerated.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so in my testimony, I would use the word, I was a degenerate, not a regenerate, right? I wasn't regenerated. Yeah. I was a degenerate.
That's true.
I was degenerate. I was always de-evolving.
Never used that one before, but that's perfect.
When I first read it. And the hatred now turns into judging God because God is now unfair.
Right.
See, this is the new one.
According to my standards of fairness, of course.
Well, actually, think about it. The only thing you were taught was God is love. God is always for you. He's merciful. He's forgiving. There's no consequence. There's no ramification. I mean, that's what you're telling me.
Right.
Right. The big 10 commandments and plus it's 603 additional little laws.
Right.
They're kind of
just
off the table.
left out.
They're off the table.
Yeah.
They're off the table. And you actually started because of your drug. You kind of went headlong. You didn't kind of gradually get into this. I mean, in high school, yes, you're doing weed, you're drinking, but now you're going into other things that are, in my view, you cross a line. Doing cocaine. Are you doing line or smoking it?
I was sniffing it.
Sniffing. Okay, so you're doing lines of coke. You're doing ecstasy.
Ecstasy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Acid.
Yeah.
And mushrooms. Explain that to people because I know it, but these are little hallucinant.
So mushrooms and acid, they're hallucinogens. They cause you to hallucinate. Acid is like something they make in a laboratory with chemicals. Mushrooms are obviously grown from the ground. You ingest either one of them, and they send you on a trip for 12 hours or more.
Well, in the days of LSD,
a little before my time, probably
a predecessor to the things that you're into. Yes, except for the problem with that is the drug versions were very dangerous on the street, and a lot of people died.
Yeah.
Now, not only are we doing this, but we're doing still. They're not illicit, but they're legal drugs, opiates.
Yeah.
Now, one of the reasons that people get into opiates, generally speaking, is they had some kind of trauma. You know, they went to a hospital, they broke their hand or arm, and whatever they do, they went through surgery, and they give it to them for painkillers.
Right.
Is that how you got into it, or you just heard about it and you said, I'm going to do it?
I at the time I was using any drugs I could get my hands on. I was actually really, I don't know if anyone knows who Hunter S. Thompson is, but I was really influenced by his lifestyle and the things he did, and so that's why I was using as many drugs as I could, especially the pharmaceutical ones. And I was introduced to opiates initially by a friend, and was taking them all the time just because it made me feel good. Eventually, though, I did have an accident that really pushed me into it. But
yeah, because when you had your accident, you're going to your doctor now saying, "Hey, I need pain medicine," and I want to do this distinction because this is a clever out by the physician side of this equation. I'm saying you're an addict at this time,
right?
But he didn't say that.
No.
What did he use the word?
So I was in a bad car accident, crushed my face. I had a bunch of facial reconstruction surgery. And the doctor was giving me 120 perk 30s a month. And I was taking them, I was strung out. I was literally becoming physically sick from when I would run out, and went to the doctor, and I told the doctor, I said, hey, I think I'm addicted to these. I was like, I would like to get off these. And my doctor said, oh no, you're not addicted, you're just dependent. It's okay. And so in my head, I thought to myself, okay, if I'm just dependent, and the doctor says it's okay, it must not be a problem then. And he ended up upping my dose, giving me a little more to help my dependency. So
well, now as we retrospectively look back, I want to know the thin. If there's a line here, it's very thin between dependence and addiction. Would you agree with that? Or no, it's not. It's just blown out addiction.
I mean, once you're physically, chemically, and emotionally addicted to something, I mean, you're addicted. You know, you can label it whatever you want.
Well, is dependence kind of a more gentle, dumbed down version of that?
For sure. I think it's just the nicer way of saying the same thing.
Or it could be a legal issue, and the guy wants to cover his back door in case there's a suit.
100%.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. Okay, so when you got out of when you had your accident, now you have all this drug. I mean, it's like you're a walking pharmaceutical, right? And so we haven't even got to the bad stuff yet. And this is bad.
I mean, yeah, definitely bad, but it definitely got worse from there.
Yes,
100%.
yes. See, this is what I'm trying to get at people. Well, hey, he's doing Robitussin. Well, that's OTC. How bad could that be, right? That's over the counter. Even acid and, Coke, Coke's bad, back, especially at that time. I'm thinking, let's see, that would be, you're 30, so that was about 10 years ago, right?
Yep.
Okay, so, yeah, Coke, in our era, that is a major league leap into a whole new level of drug. And nobody was free. Well, we were free. The freebasing, smoking it, or doing lines. That was way back, and it was treated differently, and that was major because nobody in their right mind is going to do heroin. This is back in my day, right? So when I walk into the jail and I ask we're in all heroin and methamphetamine gals, all gals, third of them hooking for their money for their drug habit, and I asked them. I said, "Did you ever imagine at 8 years old in your neighborhood you say I can't wait to grow up so I can shoot heroin?" Nobody thinks that way. Nobody thinks that way. So we're doing all this. You're addicted, no matter what the soft sell synonym that your physician's giving you.
For sure.
Right, probably to protect himself.
Right.
So, but this is the setup, and you've already went through the upper level here. You start out with Robitussin. You're moving from Vicodin because of your accident. You're doing other pain-killing issues, Percocets, things like that. And so this is a level, right? And then you're moving up to the next level of mushrooms, opioids, the heavy-duty stuff that's going to be that is going to make you dependent, and that is getting expensive.
Yeah.
Okay. This is one thing people think. Everybody says heroin. It's not only is it bad, but it's so expensive. Well, actually, compared to all these other things, it's relatively cheap.
For sure.
So and it lasts longer at the beginning. Well, we'll get into that in the next episode. Well, listen, I want to talk about. In the next episode, we're going to talk about, I'm so sorry to say, a descent into meth and mostly heroin and addiction like you have never seen. And it boggles the mindset that a great academic mind, I believe God gifted, and that we're going to go ahead and almost throw it away, right?
That's right.
If it isn't, let me tell you something. Do you realize that of all the people that we come through here, our show, you realize that most of these people are on the edge of the abyss, ready to kiss their life goodbye, and God intervenes and comes through it. Almost always, it seems like, at the last second. Would you say that's pretty true for you too?
1,000%.
1,000%. Well, listen, for more information on their outreach into the community on rehab through detox and rehabilitation, just go out to their website at tcaz.com and you can check out their weekly meetings, their special events, and things that could help you. And if you're talking about a situation like this, you say, Steve, I relate to his story. I'm actually there right now. I would not go the next day we go down is going to be such a descent that if you're sitting there at opioid level, right, this is your chance to take the exit road off the road of destruction. Don't go to the next level. But I could say that, but you're hearing somebody that's going to go there, and we're going to talk about it all tomorrow. So until next time, I'm Steve Savan, and remember, no one's outside the reach of God. No, not one.